Sebastian. First of all, most welcome. Thank you for coming here. It's always a pleasure.
It's the same on my side.
Thank you so much.
I've been here so many times, so yeah, I like the atmosphere. Really good place for me.
Now we try to focus, and your topic or your wish was to talk about why you do what you do. So I try to collect a few questions that we don't get lost, because it's really a topic where one can write a book. And perhaps this interview one day will be the base of your biography. So my first question is, when you have been a child, did you have a dream what you wanted to become later in your life as an adult?
First of all, you know that I will never answer directly to any questions. I think why I choose this question is first important, because you get asked it so many times, and you ask it yourself for so many times, and but you never have the chance to talk about it more than like 20 seconds, and usually you just answer something, something you always answer, because the answer is only 10 seconds long, and so I know that I have a little bit more time to talk about this now.
A lot more time.
So the question about my childhood. Yeah, I think so. I was energetic is a friendly word, I guess. I think I never could really concentrate for a long time, and I did a lot of sports in those days, but the problem is I started with all the usual German team sports. We are doing soccer and stuff, and I was always too motivated to really fit in a team. I always saw the mistakes from the other teammates, but not my own. And I guess the sport found me.
But was it already the sport when you have been, let's say, under 5 years old, or was there some kind of a dream, like a pilot or whatsoever professions one has?
Yeah, well, when I was in primary school, we had to make a poster where we write our dream, what we want to be as a profession when we got older. And of course, people or the kids write things down like you said, astronaut, and I was really writing down professional triathlete. I can't imagine that. No, really. My class teacher told me that there's no such thing like professional triathlete, that you can't earn money with it. And but yeah, it's interesting, because usually you think if somebody at this as an age this young is choosing something like that and followed this for more than 20 years, that you must be something like, like always 100% focused and really hooked to the sport. But I think it was not the case. It was more that I always had a very healthy kind of relationship with the sport, and it never took like 100% out of my life. And I never was afraid to skip training when I didn't want to or didn't have any fun with it. And I think that's the reason why I'm doing it since such a long time, yeah. For such a long time.
It's a passion, and you remember that it's a passion since early childhood. Is it more about moving in those days, or doing a sport, being competitive, getting rid of energy?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of those two. That, of course, my parents, and also I realized that I'm a little bit better person when I've done some sports, and when I have something to get rid of too much energy, and also my performance in school and everything improved. But I think 50% of the training was because of that I just liked the effect, liked to be outside and stuff, and the other half was that I was very, very competitive. I mean, I wanted I mean, I really wanted to destroy the other guys in competition. Yeah, I was really an aggressive racer at the beginning.
And how old have you been that you remember being like this?
It's difficult to say. I don't really. I could not really remember my feelings, but I could remember, for example, that I did my second triathlon or my first, I don't know, and I packed my stuff like 4 months before the race. 4 months.
How old have you been then?
I think I was 10 or 11 or something, and I had my stuff ready, you know. We were supposed to swim in speedos and tops in those days, and I put everything together, my racing flats and stuff, 4 months before the race, so that I did not forget anything for the race. So it was not something like usual and routine or something. It was something very special, and I think this is where you could see it.
Was it always let's say, a more important part of your life than school, or this kind of intellectual challenge?
Yeah,
because I always see you both. You have both sides in you.
Thanks, doctor. Not a lot of people see that side in me. I think so. That it was that the answer is the same. That one influences the other. That I'm way better when it comes to academic things when I'm doing sport, and it's the other way around. I mean, I'm really some kind of newspaper addicted when I'm not really learning for studies or something. I'll just like eating newspapers. I read a lot, and I always had more issues to concentrate on a long book, you know, that to read a book for like hours and hours, it's more difficult for me, but newspaper is just perfect. I could read longer articles, but they are only like 5 or 10 minutes, and then I could have something new, you know.
About something new, is it a problem of staying focused so long? I mean, there's an interesting thing, because to be a triathlete and doing a long distance race needs a lot of focus. When you're talking now about reading a book, it needs focus too. What kind of difference do you feel in those ways of focusing on something?
I think for me it's not hard to focus when I'm moving. As soon as I move my legs, for example, it's not hard to focus. Also, if I could, I mean, even driving a car, I don't have problems driving to training camp in Spain for like 11 or 12 hours just in one without break. One piece is not a problem. I think as soon as I could do something with my body to interact with my brain, it's not a problem. If I only use the brain, then it's more difficult for me. Yeah.
Sitting still.
Yeah, that's a problem.
But sitting still or being focused in this way, do you suffer when you don't move?
No, I don't think so. I think I always the good thing what I'm good at is also just do nothing at all, like lying on the sofa. Is probably that's out of the ordinary, like energetic child thing that you have to jump around all the time. That was not a problem for me to, especially now, to take a nap for an hour every day is not a problem. I'm not getting nervous at all. It's more when I really have to focus on something and not think about something else, only on this specific thing. My mind is always going. So I need like small portions.
But so you don't suffer from sleeplessness or something like this?
Not really. Not really.
Or is it just because you do the sport now that this is gone? It's a problem?
I think so. I think so. The sport really helped with that. I think it helped me to keep the focus longer, and also to relax more easier. Absolutely.
So it's almost therapeutic.
Yeah, definitely it is. I think that's why I recommend sports for anybody. It does not have to be triathlon, but yeah, sport is definitely, yeah. I think you could save a lot of Ritalin or stuff like that if you give the kids the opportunity to do some sport. Yeah.
Did it help you that your father is experienced in this field?
I think it helped that he realized that it had a very good effect on me, and so he supported me a lot. He never was pushing me to do it, but he always supported me in my plans, and especially, I mean, I had stretches when I thought, yeah, now it's time to do something else or whatsoever, and then he was also supportive. He never told me, you put so much work into it, you have to do it. It was more like, think about it, you really wanna, you had so much fun and whatsoever. So yeah, he was very, all my family was very supportive, and I think one of the reasons is definitely that he realized that it's good for his son.
And I always call it core stability you have now, because you had this career. I mean, these are 2 or 3 years almost very steep up. This kind of stability, is it rooted in your home? Is it? Did your parents, are they part of this, that you are very consistent as a personality?
I think so, yeah. I think because as a kid I always had the support, but also the freedom to develop in every direction I wanted to be. They always had been supported and never told me to do this or try that or whatsoever. I know my other my sisters and my brother, they have been learning instruments and doing music and stuff, and I was never into it. I was never interested, and so they never asked me to do it or whatsoever. So it was always, yeah, I think it was very good surrounding for me to develop, not only in sport but also in personality. Thanks, Dad, Mom.
To refer back to the question, why do I do what I do? Is this part of the answer? This not sitting still, being restless?
I think it's also, yeah. It is definitely part of the answer. I think we already had like 2 important points. One is I really love to compete. I really love to measure myself against other people, not only in sport. I always liked something competition, if it was in school or in sport. Then I just feel better. I mean, I realized that sports really makes me a better person. But yeah, I think it's also in us as human beings to move and to discover our limits. We just decided to sit on tables and watch on screens in the last like 50 years, something like that. Not so it's not a very long stretch in the human history, and I think that's the reason why sport could make you feel good. That it's just in us. A lot of people don't know it because they are so used to a sofa and an inactive lifestyle, but it just feels so much better. I know even after like 2 months a break, I just feel bad in my body, and it's just, yeah, it feels good to have a machine, you know. And yeah, I think that's. But as you already mentioned, you could write a book about it because it's really interesting, and Yeah, but the biggest part is, I think, that it's in us as human beings to go out. And I mean, back in the days, it was more like finding something to eat or discover the world and find new places or whatever. And now a lot of those things are gone. So we are looking for other things to push the limits. And one of them is definitely sports.
Is boredom or being bored an issue or a topic that comes close, that you feel, because there's challenge on the one side and there's boredom on the other side? Do you think you are quickly bored if you are with one thing for too long?
I mean, I'm doing the sport for a very long time, and I never felt that I really get bored. I mean, it's difficult. Probably if I would have been at the top of the sport for 10 years, I would have get bored of it. But since that is not the case and the competition is so high, I was never bored, because I always felt that I could improve a lot. And I think that's...
But has it to do with the sport as such, that you can travel, that you are in other areas, and that if you had, for example, only swimming in a pool and you become a swimmer, that this would be difficult for you?
Yeah, I think that's one of the good parts of being a triathlete, is that you have a lot of freedom. I stand up every day and I could decide what I want to do, and I don't have a very strict routine or something like that. I like that, and I like to travel. I mean, I like my family too, and I like home, but I always love to see other places, and that's also something the sport gives me, is to see the world and travel the world, and that's really great. The most people in triathlon are really, really nice people, and so you make a lot of friends too, and there's way more, but yeah.
Again, competitiveness. I mean, you said for you it's important to have a good race and to give it all in the end. Not care. I mean, the place is important, but in the end, it's more important that I gave it all. So there is this kind of being competitive in the way that you can take the pressure, and there is another competitiveness that relates to the other athletes that you want to. So how does this competitiveness feel in you?
I think that's also two things you have to balance. On the one hand, like you said, I often don't judge my result by the place on the result list or whatsoever, but more by what I was able to put on a table during the race. I mean, it's easy to say, and a lot of people are telling you this, but often they're just telling it to avoid a disappointment and not really seeing it like this. They tell it to the press, but they don't believe it by themselves. So they're just, I want to give my best, and then I'm happy if I gave my best. But in the end, it's still the place. But I think that's part of the last answer, that one of the big reasons is that I want to find my limit, and that I really like coming home and heading a hell of a race and probably got second or third or whatsoever. But I know that I put everything on the table, and that really satisfies me. And then there is the very specific competition against the other guys, and I really like this too. I mean, I know last day in Fuerteventura training camp I was tired, and then my my mobile phone woke me up at 5:30 or 5:40 in the morning, and I was like, do I really have to do this? It was the last day I was flying home, or the airport shuttle was leaving at 8, and I want to log another swim session. And then I had a coffee and, of course, Beast Booster. And I checked Twitter, and then I was reading the start list from 70.3 Panama. And I only had to read the name Javi Gomez, and I know I was in my swim shorts within 2 minutes and ready to make another session. So that's probably where you see that I also have like
that competitors motivate you also.
Absolutely.
So better a good field, having a race with a good field than having...
I don't want to have an easy win. I mean, to have guys like Javier Gomez and Jan Frodeno and a lot of other super talented people racing Mont Tremblant this year, it almost feels like the last 2 World Championship titles are worth nothing. Because, and I'm not thinking like this. I never look back and say like, wow, I was so good. I'm always having doubts about my ability in sport, and I don't know if I could beat those guys. Right now I'm far from being positive about that, but that's part of the journey, and but I really like it.
This is one of my other questions, was the doubts. What kind of a role do they play, and how important are doubts?
Yeah, for me, I always have like big doubts, especially in 2013. And yeah, I think sometimes it's very important, because that's something that keeps you going, right? So if you have doubts that you are good, or that you could even finish the race or whatsoever, that's something that keeps you moving. It was the same at the university with tests. I always had doubt that I even gonna make it, and that was the reason why I sit down on my ass and keep practicing. And yeah, it's the same thing in sports too. But on the other hand, if you only have doubts and you're not believing in yourself, then you are lost. I mean, then you can't do it. If you're always running around with those doubts, and also before the start. And I mean, I try to keep the balance with everything. I don't wanna do some mental strength training and saying myself that I'm the best in the world all the time, because I think it's important to have these doubts about your own ability, and to improve your ability all the time in every discipline, also in bike. I never go into a race and think that it's a guarantee that I am doing the best bike split or whatsoever. It's never the case. But on the other hand, yeah, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to make a move in a race because you think you are able of doing the move, and not because you are thinking you are not able. So I like to keep away all the doubts during the race, but like in the training routine, I think it's a good thing for me to stay motivated.
Ability, probably also an honest way to face yourself and your strengths and weaknesses.
I often, when they're too big, I write them down and try to find answer to these things.
So, why or what or which abilities are making you that able to do endurance sport?
Of course, in the first hand, it's your genetics and stuff. I mean, without any talent, you can't go that far. That's for sure. Then that I have a dream, and that I never lost the dream. I mean, a lot of dreams you have when you are younger are just getting somewhere lost on the way, and you never see them again or whatsoever. But I always make my dreams goals, and I still keep it that way. I still have some dreams and
some dreams. Which are the?
I'm not
are you ready
that. I tell it to you when the camera is off.
Offline.
Of course, I have dreams in sports, and those are not that
They're
hard
not
to
secret,
guess.
no
I mean,
secret, no.
yeah. And sometimes they are really big, but that's the reason why they are dreams. And then I have goals, and the goals that are something that I really think that I could achieve them. And yeah, then the second thing is for sure my surrounding, the team behind me. You never see the team often in triathlon. It's not a team sport when it comes to race day, or even on race day, it's very important to have a strong team. But yeah, it's just important that you have, like for example, you know, that help you in on race day. But in 20 years, you know, I mean, that's a big thing. And triathlon is sometimes a very hard sport to your relation, and so yeah, you have to have a partner who is accepting that and supporting you, and that's important. I think that's a point. And then the third point is that I have good sponsors. I mean, a lot of people don't want to talk about that because they think, especially in Germany, it's something whatever bad. I don't know. It's sometimes it's difficult, but yeah, if I don't have any sponsors, I don't have any money, and I could not do what I love on this level, and that's very important. And of course, the mental part, we talked about that, is important, and I think I know how to handle myself in that way, and that I was able to keep it balanced in all things, in my nutrition, in my training, that I was able to not freak out about things like nutrition, for example, that I was never weighting myself 3 times a day or thinking about whether I should take Nutella or jam on my toast in the morning or whatever. That I was always, yeah.
Has this been like this since long already, or was it a process over many years?
Of course, I had stretches where it was completely different, where I was thinking, well, I have to lose more weight, or I have to gain weight, or I have to train way more, or I have to train way harder. And I think I tried a lot of different things and realized what for me probably the best way is, which does not mean that I can improve anything. I mean, I'm always looking to improve it, and to improve things like nutrition and material and everything. Yeah.
Again, why do you do what you do? What role does suffering play in this game?
I think you feel that you are alive when you suffer. You know, I mean, it probably sounds a little bit strange, but I think people, what I said, people are used to suffer. We have this comfort like it is now in our lives, only for a very, very short time, and so I think you could only enjoy the comfort if you suffer from time to time. And I think to be responsible, how you want to suffer is a very nice way of suffering. You know, I mean, that's something completely different to I don't have food and I'm starving and whatever, I have to hunt a mammoth or something.
It's not really life-threatening.
No. I mean, you can quit all the time, but that is what makes it a good way to put yourself to a test and Yeah.
I have one question. If you didn't do triathlon, which sport would you choose? If it were impossible for you to do this?
I think I would like to do, for example, a sport like cross-country and mountain biking, because it's a little bit more spectacular than triathlon. I think you could see more the skills from the outside. You know, I mean, you can't really see the skills from outside. What I do, you know, is just pushing your pedals for 4 hours. Is not something very spectacular.
So you feel quite complete the way you are.
Absolutely.
I have two questions. I don't know whether I should ask for which one to ask first. So I may ask you the Biestmilch question. You are known as a techie, very, very picky about the bike in every details. And how does a soft creature like Biestmilch go with your personality?
I think it goes very good, because that's probably also part of my how I grew up. You know, we had our own garden, and I was, you know, eating tomatoes from the yeah, and things like that. You know, I was picking the milk up from our neighbor. So I grew up with I think a very different relation to
nature and food.
To food than a lot of people do nowadays. So I think I could see more the value in something like that than probably a lot of other people see, because so I think that is one of the reasons. I mean, I'm very I rely on data and stuff like that a lot, you know, but on the other hand, I think I'm very good at just feeling my own body and how it does react to training, to nutrition, and that's probably a part of the answer, because I could just feel it.
So I wanted to ask you whether you want to add something, like your studies, do they play a role, the physics? You decided one time to study physics. Do you want to add something about this, or doesn't it play a role at all today?
No, I think it's not. Everything plays a role. I think that's one of the big things in professional sport, is that you are not going home and your job is done and you do something else and try to get your job out of the head. Everything what you do is linked in a specific way to your performance. That's a hard thing to realize, because people freak out about it. They think everything does matter, and then they're getting too nervous about anything. And so also there, the balance is very important. And I think that when it comes to study, it's the same thing. A lot of people say, you have to calm your head down, or to empty your head. In Germany, we have the saying, den Kopf frei bekommen. And for me, the way to get my head empty is to make it full.
Yeah, I understand.
In Germany, we would say...
keep it busy.
Yeah, exactly.
In a positive way.
Exactly. If I give my head something to work, then I think it's not slowing me down. Actually, it makes me better in sport too. Yeah, it is.
And the studies you started now, the marketing business studies, is this because you wanted to keep you busy in a different way beside the sport, or is it because you are looking forward to the future already?
First, I mean, I stopped studying physics. It was just because of a time issue that it was not possible anymore to combine both things, because triathlon is a full-time job, especially as a professional, and with adding more and more things like social media and things I have to do for sponsors, I want to do for my sponsors, it was more and more difficult to to fit it in, and but I want to finish it. And then it was more that I was looking for something I could do instead, which is more flexible. And then my girlfriend found out about the international business thing in Ansbach. And first it was more like, well, I have to do something. It doesn't matter what it is, but now I'm really, really interested into it. And I mean, I'm still not wearing a tie and having a jeans with some holes in it, but yeah, it's also interesting because I think when I negotiate with sponsors and stuff like that, I have a much better understanding for the other side and what they need. And but yes, of course, I could imagine to do something in this direction after the sport. And I don't know, probably I'm getting really tired about doing anything in sport at all. I don't know. we never know. And I think then I have a chance to do something else.
So after all, it's not necessary to know it now.
No, I don't
Just
think so.
Just do it.
Yeah.
And now my last question is again, you get a few sentences only, or 2 sentences, and you tell me again what you do, why do you do what you do. Conclusion.
2 sentences. That already was 1 hour.
In very brief, spontaneously.
I love it because it challenges me. I get a lot of things back, and it makes me a better person.
Thank you. Would you want to add something? Because most time you want to add something.
No.
You didn't ask. Thank you.
You're most welcome.